Well, maybe could you just explain to us a little bit about moving Puljujarvi up onto the wing with McDavid, and after a period in the second where he didn't play much, and now he gets some confidence. What were you thinking when you made that move?
A number of things. One, the fact that we'd taken 4 penalties in the last 12 minutes of the second period took a lot of players out of the game, and yes, he was one of them. Two, it was, I thought Dylan had to get a little harder and a little more competitive, so it was sending him a bit of a message, letting him understand how we do things. And three was trying to get Jesse going, and obviously he had a bit of a spark there. Worked well with Connor, so hopefully the two messages were strongly sent, and both players understand that they, one got the benefit, the other one has to be a little bit better.
And just to clarify, Todd, you mean Strome, correct?
Yep.
Puljujarvi was in the dressing room afterwards, and we were all there to talk to him, and Jokinen was there sort of as an option to translate for him, and he said, "No, I can do it." Maybe just talk about his that being part of the things that he's working towards, over.
Yeah, last year I talked a lot about Jesse's adjustment, us bringing him along, the language, the culture, being 18, all those types of things. He's beyond that now. He can handle himself, and I'm glad that he pushed UC aside and said, "No, I can do this." He's accepting more responsibility that way. Even his positional play, there's a little more responsibility in it this year to this point. I thought the first night that he played, he could have left the night with a couple goals. I think we talked about that already. He had some good shooting opportunities that just didn't go in. And tonight he got rewarded. So it's nice to see him respond that way.
You spoke a couple years ago about McDavid always needing to give himself permission to be the player that you thought he could be. Does every young player go through that, and does Jesse maybe have that same situation?
I think eventually everybody goes through it. I think you reach that point at a different stages, and yes, he's getting close to that. He's beginning to feel a little more confident. We've got to remember he's 19 years old still. So he's a young man. He's still figuring some things out, and I think he's getting closer to that point, but he's still got to close the gap a little bit.
Todd, when you look at the Benning Russell pair, you've had a few games to see them. What's your assessment? I know it's extremely early on those two. Russell's versatility to go back to his natural side obviously helps, but what have you seen maybe from Benning, especially with the added presence of him on the power play?
Well, I thought that I'll start with Chris Russell. I thought in the games that he's played, he's been tremendous. He's been on his toes, moving pucks, closing really quick, doing some really good things. I thought Matt Benning, in both games he played, he weighted his way in a little bit and then got better as the night went on. But Matt does slide the line well offensively. He gets a lot of his pucks through to the net. They're not necessarily slappers, but good quick wristers that find seams to the net. You could see that tonight, and he's effective when he's doing that.
There's going to be a lot of fans looking at the last game saying, this Yamamoto kid, hey, he's going to stick now. And there's going to be fans tonight saying that Puljujarvi, hey, he's going to be on the #1 line now. Have you been able to, and I know you have that coaches management meeting tomorrow, but have you had enough NHL opposition for these guys to
no.
properly, can you talk to that?
We haven't been there yet. Now, it's been good for them to face this level of competition to this point because it gives them time to feel confident. It gives them time to feel like they belong. Both Jesse and Yamo. I thought the toughest group of players that we faced was the Winnipeg team in Winnipeg. They had a lot of veterans dressed, and they came after us a lot early in the game. So that was our best evaluation tool to this point. I think Carolina is going to play a pretty strong team on Monday, and that'll be another test for some of these guys.
Is there anything, why do you think, is there any reason beyond just being preseason games that do you think this is happening, that you're getting AHL/junior lineups more than you're not?
Well, teams play better lineups at home. We play in front of our own fans. We want to show our fans at exhibition season that we're putting stronger teams out in those situations, and you'll see that throughout. The Vancouver situation is obviously one that it's out of their control. They have to keep a team back to play. And, other than that, it's hard to match lineups. Sometimes we talk, Billy Peters and I talked about this game coming up and back in August, and he said he'll probably dress a pretty strong team here and maybe not so strong in Saskatoon, rest some veterans. So with that in mind, we'll try and match up and have good games.
Is there any possibility it has anything at all to do with the fact that you're not sending McDavid into their rinks?
I'm sorry?
Do you think there's any factor at all in the lineups they're sending to this rink that you're not sending McDavid to play in their rinks?
No. No. Connor will play on the road in the exhibition season. Each of our top-end players will play at least one game on the road. And, a lot of the bubble guys, that's a good evaluation area for them is road play when you're in a hostile environment, and can they handle that?
Do you change how you handle your practices because of the lack of NHL opposition in terms of matchups and stuff? We've
been an A group and a B group for some time now. Our practices, both groups get the same practice. But what it does is it allows us to work with our power play and penalty kill units that we'll probably start the season with. So they may not get the work in the game because not all of them are playing, but they do get the work in practice. And so we've been able to work on some things with our units and our penalty killing units.